Episode 2, The Black Ants of Envy, from the series, Crown of the Two Rivers.
The thorn that hides in the shadow is the one that pierces deepest. Igbo proverb. They say the night Zikora was born, the kitchen fire would not die. The coals glow until dawn, untouched. An owl perched on the palace roof, still as her carving. The river soldier rose far away without rain. This child walks with spirits, whispered the old herbalist. He was born in silence, no cry, eyes open, hands clenched. Adoma held him close and named him again. Zikora, let the world see. Let them remember what they tried to hide. But not all welcomed his birth. A grandfather's joy. Far above the silence and bitterness, one man rejoiced. King Eze Odumkanma, ruler of the Igbo, smiled when the birth news reached his throne.
A child of prophecy has entered my bloodline. The river and the hill now speak as one,
he said. He ordered a great feast not for the public, but for the ancestors. Goats were slaughtered, kola nuts were split, palm wine flowed like a song. Then he sent word across the forest to the Akanland.
To Nana Asekotene, Lion of the West. Let it be known your grandson has arrived. Born strong, born still, born great. The spirits of both kingdoms rest upon him.
And though the Akan king gave no reply, his priests lit incense that night. The winds carried both pride and prophecy. The Black Ants. But in the hills below, 3 hearts turned bitter. Urena, the first wife who watched her daughters eclipsed. Inenna, Obinna's sister, who feared a stranger's son would take her father's legacy. And Obinna, whose silence fed the roots of discontent. They whispered behind closed doors, ignored Adoma, dismissed Zikora, like black ants hiding in a calabash unseen but relentless. Urena muttered, a child born in shame cannot rise above daughters born in honor. Inenna simply said, this house does not belong to the river. Amaka and Chinalo, still young, watched without understanding, innocent eyes too small for the storm forming around them. A different childhood. Zikora grew in the shadows. He fetched wood while other boys learned the spear. His bow was filled last. His mat lay closest to the cold wall. But Adoma taught him not to bend. You are not broken, my son, she said. You are buried light. She whispered Akan stories into his ears, sang Igbo proverbs into his sleep. He became a child of 2 roots, 2 shadows, 1 fire. The first poison. When Zikora had seen 7 rains, Urena called him gently. Come eat, my son. You must grow strong. She set down a steaming bowl of yam and herbs, sweet-smelling, inviting. As he reached out, a red lizard hissed near the door. The old herbalist passed by, sniffed the air, and froze. Throw it away, she said softly. Later, she whispered to Adoma, even a snake would tremble at those herbs. That night, the river soldier rose again. No storm, no rain, only roaring. The father's silence. Obinna saw the signs. The way animals lingered near Zikora. How his eyes held fire and silence in equal measure. But he said nothing. Maybe it was fear. Maybe guilt. But his silence became shelter for envy. The dream of thrones. On the eve of his 9th reign, Zikora dreamed. 2 thrones, 1 golden, 1 carved from red stone. Behind them, 2 kings, Eze Odumkanma and Nana Asekotene, watched from beyond. A river flowed between. Zikora reached in and lifted a crown made of not gold, but of fire and rain. He awoke in sweat. Adoma took his hand and whispered, they will try to bend you, but they cannot break your name. The people began to talk. And then, strange things. A dying goat stood after Zikora touched it. A thief fell after Zikora called out. Birds circled when he sang. The servants whispered. The elders watched. Even Urena began to pray longer. Even Inenna avoided the boy's gaze. One night, Obina stood at the ancestral grove and asked the wind.
Why does he walk like a stranger in my house?
The wind gave no answer, but the fire in the shrine flared blue. They say when silence feeds envy, shadows grow fat, but Zikora did not shrink from the shadow. He walked through it. The black ants had begun to bite, but even the smallest flame, when left alone, can one day light the sky. And from shrines to marketplaces, voices began to rise. Where is the boy? The one born of fire and river. What name did the spirits give him again? Zikora.